There is a lot to like about La Paz, Bolivia, but this video is all about the thing that makes this city one of the most special in the world. The main component of the public transportation system here is the Teleférico, 10 cable car lines that you can use to travel all over the canyon and up to the rim. For tourists, this is about the most unique and picturesque way of seeing the place where you were staying that can be found anywhere. For residents, this isn't just a part of daily life, a way to go to and from work, go shopping, and visit family and friends. It is truly amazing. There is probably not a better way to move about a city in the world than by using this cable car system. It is fast, it is cheap, it is quiet, and it is convenient. Wherever you are staying in La Paz, you are probably just a short walk to one of the 26 existing stations. The system was inaugurated in May of 2014 with 3 lines. Those primarily connected La Paz to the new and growing city on the rim of the canyon, El Alto. Before the cable cars, to go between the two cities meant spending an hour or so on winding and congested roads. The Teleférico cut that travel time to 10 minutes. Now, with 10 lines covering around 30 kilometers, just about any trip within the canyon can utilize this mode of transportation. There is something so appealing about silently drifting over the city and looking at the vast amount of development through the area. It is very economical, as each leg of the trip costs 3 Bolivianos. That is right at 43 cents at the time I am making this video. You do pay a new fare every time that you change lines. Each of the lines are capable of carrying about 3,000 riders per hour. The cars seat 10 people, and they move at an average speed of more than 11 kilometers per hour. There are other cities that incorporate cable cars into their public transportation system. La Paz, however, is thought to be the only large municipal area on the planet where cable cars are the foundation of that system. Mi Teleférico has consistently won awards for innovation and sustainability. It is recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the highest and longest urban cable car system in the world. Having this as a way to get from place to place gives visitors the opportunity to move around in a way that in many places would be considered a tourist attraction. Every single line has exceptional views, not only of the urban landscape, but of some of the natural areas and even surrounding mountains. I've read comments from people online who say that being able to ride the Teleférico is reason itself for traveling to Bolivia. I'm not sure about that. But if you are coming to La Paz anyway, taking the cable cars is as close to being an absolute must during your trip as is possible. During this video, I'll show you a few of the places that you will want to visit and the cable car line that you will use to access those spots. The first I'll mention is the Valle de la Luna, or Valley of the Moon. The Teleférico doesn't go all the way to this attraction, but by taking the green line to its end, you'll be able to grab a taxi or an Uber for a short ride the rest of the way. This is one of the most amazing landscapes that you will see anywhere. Scientists say that the forces of wind and water combine to create its unique features. The top of this mountain was comprised of clay soil, so over time that clay eroded. What is left are rock spires reaching for the sky, and sometimes deep holes dropping below the surface. As I mentioned, this is called the Valley of the Moon, and it does possess some very otherworldly views. Maybe more than that though, this reminds me of parts of the American Southwest. There are 2 main loop trails that you can take to explore the environment. A shorter one takes about 15 minutes to complete, while the longer one consumes roughly 45 minutes. There is a bit of up and down, at least on the longer trail that I took, but there is nothing too difficult about the journey. Remember, this is still at high altitude, so the effort will be greater than if you were closer to sea level. The cost to access these magnificent geological formations was 20 Bolivianos when I went, or just a little bit more than $3. This was one of my favorite parts of town. It is the San Miguel neighborhood to the southeast of the downtown part of La Paz. you can access this area via the green line on the Teleférico too. The buildings are quite modern, and there are numerous cafes and restaurants. I've read that this general part of the city is where many expats and foreigners live, but I did not see that for myself. I discovered a little district called El Bosque. It had numerous cool little shops and dining options. Even the Hard Rock Cafe La Paz was on the perimeter. I settled into a coffee shop called Cafe Típica for a few moments. There was a great outdoor space, and I ordered my usual cappuccino. It's very possible that San Miguel could be the best part of the entire municipal area, and it's super easy to get to from downtown. All you have to do is go to the end of the green line, and you're there. For Cafe Típica, it's a short walk from the station. Just enter it into your GPS. From where I was staying, it took 4 legs of the cable car system to get to San Miguel and back. That came to just a bit more than $1.70. It's certainly worth it to check out this part of the city. This is the map of all of the lines of Mi Teleférico. You can see how everything connects and how the cable cars cover the bulk of the area within the canyon and up to the rim, where El Alto is situated. Maps can easily be found online. Viewing this gave me an idea. It is possible to construct a nice little tour of the city for yourself using the Teleférico. You can combine different lines to make sort of a loop. I'll show you how I did it. I'm starting here at the Sopocachi station on the yellow line because that's closest to where I'm staying. Jumping on the yellow line, I traveled just 1 stop to the southeast before getting off at another station. It is one of 2 stations in the system where 3 lines connect. The name of the hub is Chuquiapu. This is one of the key stations in the system. At this point, you can access the yellow, the green, and the light blue lines. I'm going to access the light blue to continue my loop. This leg was not right over top of very much development. The midwinter sun in the middle part of the day was relatively low in the northern sky. This ride only lasted a few minutes. To continue my circuit, I only travel 1 stop on the light blue line, and then I get on the white and go from end to end. This line is situated, for the most part, right over a street. I like the sensation of floating along between high-rise buildings. Toward the end, as I approached the 3rd station, I heard activity down on the street. I departed the station to investigate. Finding a parade, I decided to hang out for a little bit and experience what it had to offer. There were numerous bands taking the opportunity to show off all that they had been practicing. Dancers and flag bearers filled the space in between the bands, providing a buffer so that the musical selections didn't compete with each other. As I mentioned in a previous video, La Paz hosts quite a few parades, and they tend to last for hours. I only spent a few minutes with this one before continuing my quest to circle the city. Hopping on the orange line, I changed course a bit, heading in more of a westerly direction. On this ride, the cable car gained a bit of elevation as it skirted by to the north of the city center. I traveled 3 stops before changing lines again. Next, it was the red line continuing in a westward direction. The red line was one of the 3 original routes for the cable cars. In this section, I gained quite a bit of elevation heading toward the rim of the canyon. The difference in elevation from La Paz to El Alto is just a little under 1,000 meters. Almost at the end, I went directly over some brightly colored homes. The sun angle, however, didn't allow for a clear view of how spectacular they were. I'll talk more about what you can access using the red line in a few minutes. Next came the silver line and a turn towards the south. This might be the line with the most incredible views. For a portion of it, you soar right over the cliff's edge. The city of El Alto is to one side, and the drop-off into the canyon is on the other. The view, as you look out over the entire city of La Paz spread out below you, is phenomenal. This ride on the silver line covers 3 stops. I transferred back to the yellow line, but the ride was far from over. Heading toward the east, this part of the line covered ground that I hadn't seen before. There was a very steep descent back into the main part of La Paz. It took a while before I once again recognized the terrain. 2 stops later, I was back where I started. There you have it. I've completed the loop. I started on the yellow and went from there to light blue, to white, to orange, to red, to silver, and back to yellow. I highly recommend you take an hour or two to do this. My little tour took me onto 6 of the 10 lines, and the total cost for my circumnavigation of the city was a few pennies over $3. As promised, I want to return to the Red Line for a few minutes. There is so much to experience by accessing this set of cable cars. The middle of the 3 stations on this line is right by the General Cemetery. I went into more detail about the cemetery in a previous video, but walking through here is an amazing way to spend 45 minutes to an hour. The number of tombs is astounding, and the murals which decorate the space bring beauty to an unexpected location. I took a tour into the city of El Alto, and we got there using the Red Line. Not that long ago, there wasn't a city here, but now this is the 3rd most populous one in Bolivia. 40 years ago, many indigenous people began settling here, and the latest estimates are that over 1.1 million people now call this home.
The population started increasing quickly, and the politicians and the president of 40 years ago decided to create a new city called El Alto.
2 days each week, the 16th of July market rises up in El Alto. This is not just a little neighborhood gathering where a few people decide to sell an item or two.
Well, it's considered the biggest flea market here in South America. Yes, it's really huge.
The market covers around 200 blocks and roughly 5 square kilometers. We walked through for quite a while and still only experienced maybe 1 or 2% of the total. Virtually anything can be found amongst the stalls.
For instance, like first or second-hand cars. Also, you can find fake police and military outfits.
El Alto has a reputation of not being the safest place. A couple of guys actually advised me to be careful as they noticed someone paying particularly close attention to my camera. As part of my tour, I attended a session of what is called Cholitas wrestling. It was a tremendous experience. The spectacle includes 5 bouts over the course of a couple of hours. Primarily, the entertainers are Aymara, indigenous women dressed in traditional Cholitas clothing. Their choreographed routines pit a hero against a heel, and the storyline progresses predictably. In this arena, good always triumphs. It's great fun, but learning the origins makes you appreciate it even more. This started in the early 2000s. Cholita was once a derogatory term, so in part, this is about these women reclaiming their identity. Even more touching, though, is that this is, in essence, a stand against domestic violence. It carries a message of empowerment for all women. Again, use the Red Line to get to El Alto and Cholitas wrestling. Obviously, there are many more places and attractions that can be reached by using Mi Teleférico. I would guess that you can find something interesting and worthwhile by going on a journey of discovery from any individual station. There is no doubt that Teleférico has been a success. In its first 10 years of operation, the system handled 520 million passengers. If you come to La Paz, jump on the cable cars early and ride them the whole time you are here. The views are spectacular. You avoid the congestion of all the traffic down below, and it just never gets old. That's it for this edition of Old, Alone, and Far From Home. I appreciate you watching and invite you to watch all of my other videos as well.